Our story begins with Steve Haupt, who had traveled from Gauteng to Free State in 2012. At the time, Steve Haupt was looking for fresh new talent to recruit to his football academy in Cougar Park in Pretoria. Steve founded the Berea Albion Academy in 2009. Now, Steve had traveled to Free State to assess 4 players at the Harmony Sports Academy. For those who may not know, the Harmony Sports Academy is a prestigious sports development institution based in the Free State in the mining town of Virginia near Welkom. It has produced the likes of super sport midfield duo Sipho Mbule and Teboho Mokoena. When Steve arrived at Harmony, there were 4 football fields at the sports academy. The players he was coming to see were playing on the last and furthest field, which he had to walk to. That field was about 600 meters away. So this was quite a long distance considering that Steve was having a hip problem. He was scheduled to undergo a hip operation soon. As Steve walked towards the 4 football fields, he felt tired and was in pain. He then decided to rest under a tree closer to the first of the 4 football fields. In the first field, there was a school game going on. The match was a K Motsepe Cup clash between Concordia High School and Dr. Cingo Secondary School. As Steve was resting under the tree, his eyes were drawn to the school game, which he was not even there for in the first place. In the heart of Concordia's defense was an 18-year-old boy who wore his heart on his sleeve. He was in the thick of things. There was no way you would not notice him. This boy was Mutobi Mvala. He just stood out. Mvala commanded his defense and it played to his rhythm. In his own words, Steve explains the first time he laid eyes on Mutobi Vala. It's quite interesting how the man upstairs works. At the time, I was just about to go for my hip operation, so I was battling with my hip. We had to walk quite a bit of a way to get to the fields. And one of the outer fields, there was a game going on and it looked like a school game. So I sat next to that field and I started watching the game. There was one kid who caught my eye. I thought this kid had great leadership qualities. I would never have sat down if I didn't have a broken hip. I would have just walked past. What was meant to be a brief breather kept Steve Haupt glued to Mutobi Vala for the next 20 minutes. After that, Steve then proceeded to the furthest and last of the 4 football fields to assess the 4 boys he had come to see. However, in the back of his mind, he was thinking about the young, resolute teenager he had just walked past. In the end, before Steve went back to Gauteng, he invited Mutobi Vala for trials at the academy in Pretoria. Of all the boys Steve scouted that day, Mvala is the only one who made professional football. Now we'll look at Mvala's relationship with his teacher back in high school. Albert Munnapula was Mvala's teacher and coach at Concordia High School. Munnapula describes Mvala as a prime example of discipline and hard work. He says, Mutobi was so disciplined. If I was late for training, he could actually get everyone started with training. He ended up becoming my captain. If a player didn't train, he would insist that they don't play. He was such a hard tackler from a young age. We used to call him 50-50 because he wasn't afraid of going 50-50 with older boys. When he was 15, he was going into challenges with 19-year-olds. This is an element of his game that has not left him. The central defender is not a player that would shy away from a tackle. Pitso Mokoena, who was part of the technical team at Harmony Sports Academy, speaks about Mvala's good reputation in the Free State. Everybody knew that Concordia High School had a defender who played for every age group and fought to the death for his school. Pitso Mokoena says that there was no age group team that did not have Mvala at the school. He actually played with bigger boys. They didn't have too much quality at Concordia, but they would qualify for tournaments because Mutobi would fight hard. He was a center back, but when they were struggling to score, he would go forward and score. He would then return to the back to defend their lead. Former Concordia High School teammate Pule Modi, who now plays for Golden Arrows in the DStv Premiership, tells the story of how Mvala captained players way older than him during his teenage years. Pule Modi says, "We could tell he was a hard worker and he became our captain even though he was younger than us. There were days where he needed to push up front to go and get us a goal. That is how influential he was for us." Haupt immediately signed Mvala to his development academy. However, he reveals that he had to work with Mvala to get him to adjust to a professional setup since Mvala had only been playing amateur football up to that point. He says, "Of course, it has taken a lot of work to get him to grow in the game. He was completely raw. Never even knew what a beeb was or what a cone was. He had never been exposed to any of that sort of equipment. He was so raw, but he had a great attitude. When he came here, he couldn't even kick the ball with his left foot. He's the type of guy who would go and kick 1,000 balls with his left foot to make sure that he improves." Mvala's key strengths have always been his relentless passion, hard work, and fearlessness. Haupt was quick to spot these attributes on the young Mvala. He worked the hardest, ran the hardest, and was fearless in the air. I can't tell you how many times I had to get his head stitched. The guy was just a great competitor. The hardcore midfielder, who's nicknamed after Manchester United's maestro Paul Pogba, has now become a prime example at the academy of how far an unbridled hunger will take one in football. Steve Haupt bought shares and owned a part of Highlands Park. He took Mvala with him to Highlands Park. In 2014, Highlands Park was promoted to the ABC Motsepe League. Initially, Haupt preferred to play Mvala at centre-back, but he soon realized that the youngster was too aggressive. At centre-back, Mvala used to get booked and committed costly fouls regularly. Haupt then decided to convert Mutobi Vala into a central midfielder, where his energy could be of value in the middle of the park. Of course, time and again, they would play him at the back when there was a crisis. Mvala helped Highlands Park gain promotion to the PSL in 2016. Unfortunately, the team got relegated back to the NFD the following season. True to his character, Mvala remained loyal to the Lions of the North and did not leave the team after relegation. He opted to stay with the club despite interest from other teams when we were relegated. He insisted he wanted to help the club bounce back to the PSL. Tapua Kapini tells us, in 2018, Highlands Park were again promoted back to the PSL. Mvala played a key role in helping his team. This earned him the Player of the Season award. He also won the Golden Boot award after scoring 8 goals in the NFD. Then, in 2019, Mutobi Vala was awarded the Chairman's Award by Dr. Ivan Koza. On his move to Sundowns, Pitso had been keeping a close eye on Vala as early as 4 years ago. Steve Haupt recalls the conversation he had with Pitso concerning Vala. 4 years ago, Pitso told me he had never seen a kid learn so quickly. Haupt reveals, perhaps that is the reason Mosimane recruited him to Sundowns before the coach's move to Egyptian giants Al Ahly in October 2020. Fast forward to 2020, Pitso signs Vala to Mamelodi Sundowns. Vala was unlucky to see Pitso leave Masandawana before they could work together. Vala is currently a good addition to the Sundowns team under coach Rulani Mukwena. He has proven to be a regular player and he contributes positively to the team and to the success they've gained so far in the PSL and in African football. Thank you for watching the video. Goodbye.